I welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Good morning.
Good morning.
We already know how my day's going so far.
Well, we do. But that's almost like how life is, though, right? Because I feel these things too. So let's look at this a little bit differently before we start talking about some other stuff. So initially, you're trying to log on, right? And the cameras, it's showing like greens. Like I can't even see. You don't have hair. There's all kinds of crazy colors. So it's not working out, right? But those are the things that, and now not everybody's seeing that on the recording. But that's real life, though. You know what? We're dealing with real life stuff all the time, and the only reason I'm saying that is because I was thinking, man, I'm not really motivated for this today. Oh, then why don't you just cancel for today? And I'm like, yeah, but I always feel better by the time the conversation's over. And this is why, because we get to talk about this yes, instead of me mulling this over in my mind. Why am I feeling this way? Or being it, just maintaining that space. I'm making myself go out of that space, not making myself, but I'm choosing to go into the video because I always know how things are working out afterwards.
Yeah.
And then it's like, as you're doing this, and I can see just a teeny tiny bit of frustration, because it's like you said, when we first started the video, before you were dealing with this, it was internet issues, and now it's the camera stuff like that. But reminding everybody, we're in a 7-year. There is no pushing against things. It's like it's those little pushings against it. When these things happen like that, these glitches or whatever, it's an opportunity to make a different choice or to choose to move forward in a different way than we would have in the past. In the past, F words would be flying, fine, forget it. I guess we're not supposed to do it today.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's try again later. You know what I mean? Whatever. But it's like we're not in that same space anymore. And it's just another opportunity being presented to us to see if there's any emotional triggers within inside of us that we need to look at, because it's just going with the flow. It's just going with the flow, period.
Yeah. And what I would say is to that, that we are human beings, we are emotional beings. So feel the emotion. If you feel the anger for a minute, for 5 minutes, but not for hours, days, or weeks. So my frustration with this, because for 2-3 weeks prior, my internet wasn't working correctly. And then now for the past week or so, I've had issues with my camera. So in my moment of frustration before we got started, I was like, oh, right, I'm feeling it, but then I was laughing about it. So it's not, in the old Amy would have been like, oh my God, Bev's probably judging me right now. I got to get my shit together. I can't get this right. What's the deal? Right. I would just been one negative comment after the other in my head. And then I probably would have said, forget it. Let's just do it later or something. Right. Be really frustrated in that moment. But I'm not. Like, I just feel that little bit of frustration. I'm like, okay, oh, now let's move on with this, universe. Come on. Help us out here.
But even for me, for witnessing you, it was super, super mild. It was super, not, it was just a difference from a smile on your face to not having a smile on your face.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a grimace or anything like that. So it's incredible. And it's funny because yesterday, I don't know if anybody else has experienced this. It was yesterday evening, all of a sudden, like there was like a wave that went through, like a glitch. We would call it a glitch in the matrix there. It was a glitch because it's like all of a sudden I was playing this game and it flashed across. Now I'm on a different phone. I'm on T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Freeman's on Verizon. And then we have an internet, there's just all this stuff going on. And it's like, while I'm doing all this stuff, it's like there was a wave that went through and everything kind of glitched out. And then even the power kind of glitched for a minute. Like everything kind of went out for a second. The dogs all of a sudden got up and started barking. Like it was a weird thing. So I don't know if anyone's been experiencing anything like that, but we did. And I find it interesting, there's just so much stuff that's going on. It's like, I feel like there's a lot of, you can't, if there's all this stuff in the darkness, how can you see it unless light shed on it, right? So it's kind of there, and it's just that there's no difference from these emotional triggers that we have. There's no difference from, like you had an opportunity, you could have lost your mind because it's like, here we go again. Like, what the hell? Which is funny that I say that, because before I got on the phone with you, right, I'm making my smoothie I'm using honey to sweeten it because there's no sugar added to anything that I'm drinking. Like there's nothing, and I need a little bit of sweetness to it. And I got honey in it. Next thing you know, I went to do my hair away. Now I got honey in my hair. I'm like, what was the first question I asked myself? Now, what's going to happen now? And I was like, oh, backpedal,
Yeah, don't
backpedal,
put that out
backpedal. But it's like, how can this get any better?
Right.
Like, because my first question, it wasn't what was going to happen. It's like, how can this get worse now? Like I already have, here I am getting ready to come on the video with you, and I've got honey in my hair, and I'm trying to get, so I'm in the sink, trying to rinse it out over there. And it was just funny, but it's like I caught it so quick. And in the past, I wouldn't have caught it. I would have stayed in the energy. And that goes back to the conversation. It's all right to be angry. It's all right to be frustrated, but don't stay there. Don't stay there and start write the letter like, I'm going to kill this person, because now you formulated this huge story in your head, and you're like so angry and pissed off that if I see this person on the road, that's it.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to be that way. It's like you never even get, it never escalates. You never get to that point. So it's like there's when we're going through this stuff, it doesn't feel like an opportunity. But when you get through that one little part of it, when I was like, oh no, how could it get better than this?
Yeah.
This is how it got better than this. So it's like I nipped it in the bud right then. I didn't have to stay in that space, and it diffused everything. But it's not something necessarily I would have recognized in the past.
Right. And isn't it interesting that both of us experienced something this morning? And hey,
Yeah,
something to talk about.
but it is because it's just how we show up. How do you want to show up in the world? How do you want to show up? We can show up as a victim. We've already had that template. I want things different because we're a ripple in the ponds. So it's like everything that we do, your reaction to, or your non-reaction to what was going on, because it's working perfectly now, rippled out into the pond, so that other people are going to naturally like kind of slow down for a minute and reassess, and then let that ripple go out, and it's more of a calm and peaceful place. It doesn't have to be that other place, that eye for an eye, this is bullshit, victim, whatever you want to, however you want to look at it. It doesn't have to be that way. And so was a huge opportunity, and that's what you call living this life. Really, that's living what you're learning, and that's exactly what we're doing now. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm not always happy and joyful, but a lot of times I am. Something, and I've said it, a few times, but it's like, I wonder what love can show me today, or I wonder how love can show up for me today. And every time I ask that, I know I brought it up before, but it's like, I feel like I need to remind people, ask yourself this question at least once a day. I've got it written on my mirror at the office. I've got it written on my mirror at home. I've got it on my phone. I've been telling my kids, like, if you want to change things, because I've noticed it when I get into this mood or this space that feels heavy, or victim or whatever, it just feels heavy for me. It feels heavy. I automatically go in and look at my mirror, and I look at the stuff that I have written down. Another thing I write on my mirror is, everything's always working out for me, because it is.
Yep.
I made it all the way to here.
Right.
So things have been working out. It may not have been exactly the way that I had envisioned it, but it still has worked out great for me. So it's like, it's just those reminders. And how do we know? Only if we're checking in with ourselves. Only if we're knowing what feels good and what doesn't feel good.
And this is genuine conversation, because I laugh at myself every day, like things like this, sometimes, you go put your shoes on, you have your right foot, but you grab your left shoe. I just laugh at myself. And I started that several years ago, because it was a process to reprogram my body from going to anger and it's a bad day to I'm okay. Because when you go into that anger mode, then you're going into fight or flight also, right? Your body is ready to fight or flight, freeze, fawn, whatever F other word you can come up with, which we know are a few.
It's true. It's true.
So to reprogram me and my body, because my body's going to respond to whatever I'm thinking about. It was instead of immediately going to the anger, or if I felt the anger, it was to start laughing, laugh right now, and so anytime I do that, have you ever had, you have your glasses, your sunglasses or something, and you go into the refrigerator and you go to set them on the shelf of the something silly like that? I just laugh at myself all the time for things, silly things like that, and big things, because now I look at it and I go, wow, isn't it interesting I'm showing up in that way? And I'll put a smile on my face and I kind of laugh about it. But I also still do some inner inquiry. That just helps reprogram again that mind body connection so that I'm not going into that fight or flight. I'm not going into that heavy emotion and staying there. So that's a good tip for you guys today to remember that. Just start laughing at yourself, even at work, in conversations. I'm just like, oh, can I just say that? you know so, so be playful with yourself, because you have so many years of programming, and it does take some time to change that. I'd love to say we can do it like that. Some people it may be possible, but for the majority of the population, it's not. So just make it a habit.
Yeah, it's almost like you would be in a hyper awareness to be able to correct things so quickly. And not saying that it can't be, because I'm noticing more and more as we grow through all this stuff, that how much we do kind of correct it real quick. We do notice it real quick. And I like how you said putting your glasses in somewhere. I've almost put my blueberries in the cabinet this morning. They go they're frozen, so they need to be in the freezer. So I almost did that. I've done a few things like that recently, and what if I'm gauging myself or I'm looking at my gauges, I'm not grounded. Do you know what I mean? I'm not present. I'm not whatever. So it's like, well, I laugh about it, like you said. I just laugh about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you just see what I just did? Like looking around behind me, like, did you really see what I just did right now? Yeah. And I haven't even gotten to that point yet where we're going to have to put me in a home. So here we are now.
We'll start with padding the walls at home.
That's right. Just give me some markers and I'll color the walls and I'm fine. It's good. That's right. That's having a good time.
My husband, he'll be sitting in his chair and I'll be in the kitchen and I'll just start laughing. He's like, what'd you do now?
Nice.
Funny.
But that's awesome. And then let's look at the conversation, even with big things. You said you would laugh even with big things. That's a perspective thing, right?
Yeah.
From a soul level, none of it's big. Do you know what I mean? None of it's big. It's just all a learning experience. But from this human experience, sometimes it feels big. How can we look at things differently? It's the same thing that we've been talking about already. It's kind of just stepping back and kind of looking at things. And it's kind of finding a way to laugh about things. Really, it is.
I don't know, as you're bringing up with spirit connection, how it's not as serious, which we do. We know that.
Yes.
I don't know if you listened to that interview with Alex Ferrari yet. It just came out last few days, I believe, and it's talking to a lady who was in Iran. I forget which one. I'm sorry. But she talks about how they hit a one of those devices that are in the ground. They hit it and it blew up, right? So I forget what they called. But anyway, she was saying she left her body, and while she was on the other side, there was the other people there, another person there too. And from a spirit perspective, because there is no attachment to what's going on in the physical body, this is sick. Even when I was listening to it, I'm like, that's sick humor, but I would do the same thing. If I had that opportunity, I would do the same thing. I'm just going to be real. That while they were in their spirit form, they were looking at their body and they're like, okay, well, if I lose a limb, what's my life going to pan out like if I don't have an arm or a leg? Or if I have a big hole in my head, how's that going to affect me? Like they were looking at their physical body, deciding how how the rest of their life's going to pan out if these different things happen to their physical body because of this accident. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how lighthearted is that? Even Alex, he's like, Wow, it's so amazing you can just laugh at that, because for some people that would be so serious, right?
It
Uh,
would, but from a soul perspective, it's like, oh, look what happened to my suit. My arm just blew
yeah,
off of that. I mean, they're going to be able to put that back on. I mean,
right.
is it going to be usable, or am I going to be flinging it? I mean, seriously. So, I mean,
But the whole thing
no
was
attachment.
from that, yeah, from that perspective, there's no, it's just like playing a video game. Um, in the Matrix. I mean, he's big on talking about that as well, but it's, yeah, we make way more of stuff than what we need to.
So hilarious. Your camera went out. So it went out again, right? So as I'm watching you, and then one of my bags, I have something sitting on top of a massage table over here. It's been sitting up there for days, decides to suddenly fall down. I thought, that's why I was laughing. I was like,
Oh,
this is so funny. This is so funny what's going on. We probably have spirits all around us like, look what I can do. I'm
yeah,
going to mess with Amy's camera. Hey, I'm here. Can you see me? I'm going to mess with Bev's stuff that's sitting over here.
right,
It's,
right.
I find it interesting. It is interesting, but that's how there's stuff going on here. I'm sitting here wearing I've got a flannel shirt on. I've got a sweater on top of that. And it's like, it's been freaking cold. Okay. We
Yeah,
were getting a little bit of snow this morning. We didn't get any snow to stick. It's only in the mountains, but it's been in the weather. The roads are kind of crazy right now. And there's just so much cleansing going on this earth. You know, I heard someone recently saying, oh, look at, it was a family member sent me a message and said, hey, you know, take care of yourself, because they've been dumping on us with the airplanes, you know, with the in Phoenix, and now people are getting sick. And I'm like, yeah, but the earth knows how. Why sit and worry about it? If it, okay, so it did. Do I have control over that? I do not. What do I have control over? I'm going to be fine. How can it be? How can it get better than this? Right? It's that same question. And then what happens? We got huge storms coming through. Now it's not working out so great in California and some other places. But from here, it's a cleansing. The earth knows how to cleanse itself. It does. It's like there's that's from a positive. That's from a positive. That's what I have for you. I'm always gonna. That's just me. It's a natural nature for me, but I feel like it's natural for everyone to be in that state, is to really see the positive things. Oh, well, that's interesting, because what would our soul say? It wouldn't even be bothered by that stuff. And I've been telling myself lately too, okay, so we have 5G. Everyone's so worried about 5G this and 5G that. There's always been some sort of energy going on through here. And then of course we've listened to all the people's sides about that this is what's happening. It's causing brain stuff, it's causing sickness, but what if it can make me stronger? What if it can make me more powerful? What if it can make me in more connection with spirit? Like, what if it does something the opposite of that? So it's like, this is my world and it's my intentions. Does that mean I'm going to go stand by a tower for a long time? Well, I don't know. But right now, probably not. Not because if I have any duality within myself, because I've listened to something else that might have created duality within myself. But otherwise, I'm the creator of this world. I'm not going to sit and worry about all those things I have no control over. People sit and let that consume them. We're here to be in a space of joy or live life. You can't be living in life and be in a space of joy if you're constantly worried about everything that's going on around you, or you're constantly living in a state of fear.
yeah. What if it gives me superpowers? I already have
What if?
superpowers that I don't even know how to use yet.
What if it helps us just to remember that about these things that we call them superpowers, as if there's something that's outside of us or something that we don't have, when it's all within. When all of it's within, it's just we have a different template. We learn differently. Oh, be careful what you're doing. You might fall down and break your leg. Don't jump off that roof. You know, there's just crazy conversations that happen. Maybe don't drop off the roof, okay? I mean,
Yeah, don't do
we've
that.
learned duality, people. We've learned it. Unless you 100% know. Like, if anyone's ever watched the first Matrix, to even where Neo is thinking about jumping, it's like in the mind, right? So if you really break that down, in the mind, it's like, my mind tells me that if I jump, I'm going to die.
Right.
And he had to work past that part in it. But that's like an extreme. But I'm just saying that we've learned so much stuff that's not even true, but it's been restricting us for our whole lives.
I was teaching it's, in a dramatic way, that leap of faith. And so, when you're co-creating with the universe, it takes a lot of faith to
It does.
know that, energy is real. We attract what we're lined up with. We attract what we think about, so Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's a big one.
There's a lot of stuff, but it's just to sit and process it. It's like even this morning, I am struggling with meditation again.
Mm.
I'm just not making the time for it every day. So I'm asking questions this morning to Freeman, and I'm like, I just don't understand. And he says, well, you just answered the question. I said, well, what did I say? And it was because, I'm blocking myself from it. Well, how am I blocking myself from it? And if one of the things that he said is because, we've had this conversation, is you're keeping yourself from success. You're afraid of success. And I'm like, why would I be afraid of success? Well, I don't have that answer right now, but just him provoking that thought and
Yeah.
me asking myself, I know the answers will come up to what's blocking me. Why am I not moving forward to that? Because I can tell you, we could probably go back a few episodes. I was enjoying it and it felt great, but I'm not making the time to do it every time
Yeah.
for whatever reason. So that this is here we are. This is it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's that deep, again, that programming, that deep subconscious stuff in there that's self-sabotaging the goodness because
And what
we're
is my
programmed to focus on the badness.
yeah? And what does my mind say? Well, everything should come easy and naturally. Well, motherfucker,
Right.
excuse the language,
Uh,
but what am I doing? Is meditation not easy? For
yeah.
God's sakes, seriously. But oh my God, I'm gonna have to go kick my own man. But see, don't do that, guys. You don't kick your own ass about this stuff. It's like, aha, now I see. That is the easy way. And I've been trying to recruit Freeman into doing it too. Like, hey, let's just meditate every single day and start doing it. Esther and Jerry Hicks did it. Like,
Yeah.
let's do this.
Yeah.
And it's true. So if you can get someone to go along with you, sometimes people like to go to the gym with someone else because it's more motivational for them. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of I don't care how you get there, just get there. But if I'm talking about meditation, you can't just step over someone's head to get to meditation. You just have to step over yourself to get to meditation.
And it could be too. You go out into your garden, that's meditative. Go for a walk, just connect with nature, go sit and look at the mountains, the snow on the mountains. I mean, any and all of that's meditation. So it's not a
Yeah.
have to sit in your house and sit there for 30 or minutes or 2 hours or whatever. And it's just and maybe that could be another thing is giving you an opportunity to do it in a different way for
True.
now. For now.
And also looking at where I'm separate within myself as we're having this conversation, I can see where there's a separation from myself. So it's like it's really just taking a look at that and then seeing why is it there or how can I just move past it and not be there like that anymore. Because I do that stuff all the time. But the thing is, I don't always feel that connection all the time.
Yeah.
But when I ask the questions to myself, like, what can the power of love show me today? Like asking myself questions like that, then it brings me present, right? And then I notice the craziest things. Like I notice that I could be running down the wash with my grandkids, chasing behind them. Colton's like, Grandma, you don't have to catch up with me because the dogs are with him, and he's running down the wash. I'm like, I can still see you, but I'm like watching that, and it's like I just felt like this, just great love flow through me, like it was just such an appreciation of where I was at, and it's not the same because before I would say, oh, I appreciate this, I appreciate that, it's not the same. It's not the same as genuinely just being there and feeling that. And that's where that statement for me, or asking the power of love to show me, is it brings me to right now. And I will ask it earlier in the day, but then it shows up and I'm recognizing when it shows up. I'm witnessing when it shows up, how it's showing up. Instead of getting caught up in the day, caught up in the drive to town, caught up in people that are working at stores or people that come in to see me. It's like instead of getting caught up in all that stuff, I'm able to witness things differently. But that's still only being present.
And when you're in that space of gratitude or appreciation, I've noticed this in myself in past and current is when you're in that space of appreciation, that feels good. And to now, it puts a smile on your face, right?
Yes.
Like you feel that, like that feels so good, and put a smile on your face. That's additional emotion backing up that thought of appreciation. And then think about, your thought and emotions follow as well. So now you're, again, it's that connection between your mind and your body with what you're thinking about and how you're feeling. And we're projecting that out. The universe, we want to talk about manifesting, is, oh, she wants more of that. That is the message she's sending out. She's bringing out that joy, that happiness, that sense of abundance. And we're going to show her more. Now it's my job to be in the present moment, to see, acknowledge more things to appreciate, more things to be grateful for. So just keeping that in mind, that bring up the emotion that puts a smile on your face or makes you laugh. It's worth it, because it's contributing to so much more than what you can actually see with your physical eyes.
Or even more than what you can control, right? It's not even something you can control. Yesterday I had picked up Vivi early, so my oldest daughter one of my daughters, oldest daughter, how's it not nice? Anyways, it just comes across, that whole reference. But anyways, I picked her up early so she could enjoy her day off, because she had a day off by herself. So I thought she'd have a day off by herself. She had fixed some bracelets for me. I handed her $20, and she's like, "What's this for?" I'm like, "Just go have a good day. Like, do something for yourself. It's $20. It's $20, right?" She tells me she had In-N-Out, and that actually filled me with so much. She says, "I drove through In-N-Out and I just got some In-N-Out," and she had this big old smile on her face. So she enjoyed it. So her enjoying that made me enjoy it. So I've got my granddaughter here yesterday, and we're playing, because I have her early, so we plan. I'm like, "Vivi, you're going to be taking a nap today." And she says, "Okay," because she knows if she comes to my house. Well, we were playing for so long that next thing you know, it's 3:00. Holy crap, we played right through nap time. Like we weren't even paying attention, right? We were doing so many different things. And it's to be in that space. The thing that I'm recognizing as we're having this conversation, that I was being hard on myself even about meditation, because I do that all the time. Every time I wake up in the middle of the night, I meditate. Like I do it all the time. But the thing that I'm noticing, when you're spending so much time in that space all the time, maybe I'm not recognizing. It's like being in spirit, right? They say that being in spirit, you're in a space of love all the time, and you really don't have anything. There's no contrast, so there's nothing to bring you down so that you can rise back up again. Well, that's what's happening. I'll be really high, I'll be up in that space, and then something brings me down. And when we're here, it just feels so heavy. It's like, man, just don't throw me in the water right now. I'm going to drown. I'm going to sink to the bottom. Even though it's not even that dramatic, but the more and more that I spend time in being present, being now, in meditation, all that stuff, the opposite of that feels heavy and yucky. Like that's how it just kind of feels. So it's kind of interesting that now I'm processing this, because it's like, and then at the same time, I tell people, don't beat yourself up. I'm kind of beating myself up, right? But now I get to have this conversation with you that I was going to cancel, earlier on in the morning. And I was like talking myself out of it. But this is why I didn't talk myself out of it, because there's too much to gain from these conversations. It's like there's just too much. It changes my whole perspective on things. It's like it's big aha moments, right? Epiphanies. It really is. It's all those things.
Well, even you think about the people who are channelers that they do that all the time. They connect like that, right? Suzanne Giesemann, Esther Hicks. They're even told, listen, you're human. You have to have a human life, and we can't give you all the answers. We can't tell you what decision to make. Right. So yeah, we, as much as we would love to stay in that high, almost disconnected from reality.
Well, from the human experience, right?
Yeah. We get into that meditative state where we're like, everything in the world, in your world, is amazing. And you don't want to open your eyes and go back to your reality. But in fact, it's necessary for so many reasons that maybe that could be a moment of, all right, Bev, you need to live life a little bit here in your human body. Could be, I don't know, right? It's just, it's one of those things to ponder. So yes, we're spirit, but we're in the human body for a reason.
Because we wanted the experience. We wanted to have the experience. We wanted the ups and the downs,
Yeah.
the highs and the lows, the happies, the sads. We wanted all of it. We wanted to experience all of it. Because by doing so, we expand,
Yeah.
which is super cool.
Yeah.
I
It really
I
is.
enjoy I enjoy things so much. I drive through the Wallapies all the time, a few times a week, really all the time, to go to town. Instead of just what's the quickest route? I don't want to go the quickest route all the time. It's not as beautiful. And it's like I even was driving through the Wallapies yesterday and I'm like, "Huh, I never saw that house before. I've been driving by this now quite a few times, for the last few weeks.
Overnight.
Yeah, it's like that's quite the prominent gate right there. That's going up to something. That's like pretty huge. But
Yeah.
it's like it's just so much beauty around us. And then noticing the rocks, but I notice the way it feels to go through there. And what does that tell me? That means to slow down and just slow down and enjoy everything that's around you. Every time I drive through there, I'm blown away with the beauty that God's created, really. And when I see the snow on the peaks and all that stuff, and it's so deep white, like such a it's intense. I'm like, oh my God, that is so beautiful. Like
Yeah.
this blows my mind, and I'm like appreciating. But I'm appreciating from a whole nother level that I'd never experienced. I shouldn't say never, but not that I can remember for a very long time, because I spent most of my life not appreciating things, not slowing down, because I was in fight or flight forever. So there was no standing still to appreciate things.
Yeah,
Okay, got that. What's next?
I was just appreciating the alcohol and my drunk friends.
True. But you know what? There's still appreciation in that too, because there was some from that level. That's just one
Right.
step up. That's just another step up the ladder, I suppose.
Yeah. But, I wasn't in appreciation for all the rest of it. That I had a house and a vehicle and a son and all the stuff, right?
Yeah, I totally hear you.
Yeah. My
It's
attention definitely was not there.
mhm. And then like for me, being a grandparent is such a huge opportunity, because I kept saying before I would totally have kids again. And I would. I would totally have kids again at this age. I don't care. But I'm in a space where I'm enjoying it. It's like I really do have my kids. I mean, I do. I have my Colton and I have my Bibby. So and anything else that comes on top of that is just a bonus.
Yeah.
Bonus babies. But I mean, I just enjoy that so much that I could spend my time with that every day. Because that's what I've been doing lately. It's been spending more time with the babies. And it's like I said, we played through nap. That's a kid thing. I'm a freaking adult. We're supposed to be a certain way, right? Yeah, no, don't be that. Be a kid. Be a kid. It feels so much better. And then how do you know? It's because of how it feels. That's what I tell people all the time. It's you have to pay attention to how things feel. I mean, you don't, but it's like eventually you're going to notice, this feels better. I'm going to go this direction.
And it's usually in those moments when we're doing things that are fun and meaningful that time goes by pretty fast.
It does.
Right. I mean, even Bev and I, when we're having our conversation, I have to keep looking at the clock because I'm like, we could be here for 2-3 hours if
We
we
could.
didn't keep
We have.
time.
It's happened a couple of times. Not on. We haven't videoed it the
Yeah.
whole time, but yeah, it's happened the whole time. It's like, okay, well, I got to go, and then blah, something else comes out. Yeah, and it's
It's
like,
the
oh
after
yeah,
session.
it's true. We've had those after sessions.
And that's in so when I said time, when we're having fun and things are seem amazing, time flies by, like really it does. To me, it does it anyway. And even, having like yesterday, I did a coaching session, a one-on-one coaching session, and it's supposed to be for an hour. And I didn't watch the clock. I just sat with her and just figured, when we're done, we're done. And she got up to do something and she says, oh my gosh, it's 4:30. Time flew by so quickly for me because it was like, this is what I enjoy doing. This is a passion. This even though I'm sitting with somebody who's in their heavy emotion, I'm connecting with them. I'm making a difference. I'm helping them the best way I can in that moment, right? That's because I enjoy that. And time just flew by. And then those moments when we're in things that aren't so fun, or you're sitting at work and it's just slow as molasses, we're focused on reality, right? We're focused on what's going on or not going on, where even in those moments, you could do things to help feel like time's going by quicker. You might sit there and meditate at work. I don't know.
But there's that gauge again, right? So if I was talking to someone about them following their path and the conversation we just had, well, what feels good to you was having that conversation with someone, because we all, even though you're fixing or not fixing, but you're there to assist, to help as they're asking, or they're walking their path and you're there being a guide, we're connected. You're
Yeah.
totally connected with your soul when you're in that space of that love, because it's not that you're just connected to that person, because if I just connect to that person, then I'm now maybe in that space of what they're feeling and stuff like that, but you're in a totally different space because you're connected to your soul. You're connected to source, so it's such a different thing. And then when you recognize that things is, when you're at work and things are going by so slow, then it kind of gives you an idea, is this really what I want to do? And then it's like, how can I get better than this, right? It's asking those questions. I remember one of the questions, and I would ask Jim all the time, because from the outside, from what I could see, he wasn't happy. We would talk about, do you really like your job? I love my job. I love helping the people. But at the other side of that was, then he was working with other people that he had to deal with, getting approvals and, all this other stuff. And it was like for him, it was a struggle. But it's recognizing where you're at. And it's even focusing more on, okay, so if you like the helping of the people, for if I was talking to him, if you like the helping of the people, then how can you get there without getting all wrapped up, right? Attached to all the outcome. Because you're too far in the future. You're not right this moment. Right this moment, you're helping that person just like you were helping that person when you're being a guide with that person. You're helping that person right now. And I know what you're talking about, because when I get into that space too, I put myself where I'm not even looking at the clock, because otherwise I know that I'll look at it and then I'll start feeling a little way. But when we're having the conversations, you recognize when it just feels like this is it. It's time to move. We're ready to move on to something else. But it's just interesting, because all that stuff it's gauges. That's you paying attention to how you feel, and then how you're going to move or evolve forward. That's it. It's like, but we get so wrapped up in it. So what would be the other thing? Man, I freaking hate my job. Today was the longest day. You know what I mean? We get into that space instead of we carry our story on from that moment, instead of recognizing, oh, well, my gauges are letting me know that this wasn't probably the best, direction for me. It probably isn't. So it's recognizing that it's not, we get wrapped up in retirements. We get wrapped up in got to pay the bills, not even, because we think the money could only come in from that one direction. There's so many things going on. And that goes back to the beginning of the conversation, having faith. I always know things are always working out for me. That for me is innate. I know that within me, I know that things are always working out for me.
What just came to mind was I remember that in a recent conversation brought it up too, that there's been times when things were, being in the office and it was super busy, and time still felt like it was going so freaking slow. And in that time, it was because of the people I was dealing with, the people that I was working with, other things that were compounded, and my emotional state, my mindset, that it was a time of me trying to prove myself and feel accepted and feel good enough and all that stuff. And I was at the grocery store the other day. This lady there, she's cool looking. She got these big gauges in her ears anyway, and I've commented on her earrings, And then the other day she was wearing some pins. They were butterfly pins. And I was like, oh, I really like your pins. Those are beautiful. Complimenting her. And then it turned into she's got to tell me a story about the people that she works with who don't like them. And then something was said about it being busy. It's been busy in the store. And it was like a day that you wouldn't think it would be that busy. And I said, she's like, yeah, it's been just been so busy today. And I said, oh, well, it must help the day go by faster. And she's like, no. Like, so mindset matters, man. Mindset
Yeah.
matters. So she could be she may not love what she's doing. However, she could find a way to be grateful for what she's doing, because the people who are coming in and buying those groceries are paying her paycheck, right? So I understand that there's disgruntled customers and flat out jerks, but like attracts like also. And people are going to be in that same vibrational vicinity to come into her line to be jerks to her or be negative, right? Even just a negative mindset, to have those negative conversations, because that's where she's at. And then it just seems like it's a longer day because of stuff like that. So it's, it's like, people be aware, check yourself.
I like that. And I like it because like does attract like. So, I feel like you were guided into her line for an opportunity. So often that we think, God, if I would have been able to come back and talk to myself at that stage of my life and, whatever, I probably would have been the same response. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Right. Sure. You know what I mean? Not being in that space of being receptive, but the angels are like, look I just put this person right in front of you and she's noticing all the amazingness about you.
Right.
But she's not, and it's not like, well, fine, next time I'm not going to give her any compliments. No, it's she doesn't see herself that way. And she doesn't slow down enough to see herself that way or to experience herself that way yet. But it's like opportunities that are being put in front of us all the time. Wonderful things are being placed in front of us all the time. And if you're not in the space to receive it, you're just not in the space to receive it. And you didn't miss out on it. It's going to show up again.
Yeah.
But the universe is working out for us all the time. Someone wrote Universe Has Your Back. You got the book, I think.
Gabriel Bernstein.
Yeah. So I mean, they got stuff like that, but I'm using that phrase because that's where I remember it from. But it's the truth. The universe does have your back, whatever you're going to allow to come in. And that's kind of, when you're going through a spiritual journey, sometimes that's a little bit like hard to swallow, because it's like, I'm doing all the things that I should be doing. That's the old template, right? The old template says that we have to be doing something in order to be receiving something.
Yeah.
Or in order to earn something. So it's just like everything in our experience is helping to guide us to a better version of ourselves. And then you think about that from a soul level, there is no better version of ourselves. We're perfect. We came down here to be in this human experience, to be flawed, to be imperfect, to be all these things so we could have these experiences. And I'm just in a space now of my life, and I don't know if I could say it's an age thing, or I don't think it really is, because I'm recognizing the more that I'm changing, the more that my kids are changing too, because it just feels better. So it's not an age thing. I'm 20 years older than one, and 22, almost 22 older than the other one. So there is a bit of an age difference, but I'm even recognizing in the kids, the grandbabies. So it's like it shows up in all of us, and it's up to each one of us to how we're going to move forward. And we have so many opportunities, so much greatness coming our way. Okay, so you didn't win the lottery because you don't live in Maine, apparently, but whatever. There's so much wonderful coming through our lives, and it doesn't just have to do with the lottery. I've heard other people say that when they've talked to people that have had near-death experiences, when they've psychic mediums, that we've been told that this was hitting the jackpot. We hit the lottery just to be here. There's so many other beings that want to be in a physical form to have this experience, and we're lucky because we get to be here. It's not keeping ourselves from it by our thoughts. but that's what we're learning at this age where I'm at 52. So it's like, but like I said, I'm recognizing it with my kids. My daughter asked my son the other day, or my grandson, that's hilarious. Asked my grandson something about seeing his grandpa because his grandpa transitioned. And he says, "Oh, I just close my eyes and grandpa's playing with me all the time." Well, because we've had these conversations and I don't know what he's experiencing, but we talk about this stuff because I don't want it to be woohoo because it's not woohoo. It's freaking fact. Like I mean, how they're going to prove that yet, I don't know. But they have lots of tools out there to gauge energy, and we're all energy, whether we're in a physical vessel or not. So it's like there's all this wonderful stuff going on, and it doesn't mean that someone's crazy because they're seeing things or hearing things. And that's something else we've been noticing lately. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of movement. You catch stuff moving out the corner of your eye all the time.
It's true.
I've been through that, but it's like we've been feeling this, and I'm seeing more and more people are experiencing the same thing. They're talking about it. Oh yeah, you were experiencing that a while ago. Yeah, I was. Well, I'm experiencing that. Is what I'm being told now. Now I'm starting to see all that stuff. So
Yeah,
it's like it's super cool where we're at right now. I feel like.
I do too, because I mean, things are changing more into the woo woo. I mean, that's the word people use, right? Woo woo.
Yeah.
So some people would say the spiritual, some people would say the energy. So and it's the more people are following that sense of what feels good and being in that space of joy more often, than that energy, that collective energy that's being put out into the universe, that all of us, by doing this, is making a huge impact on these changes that are happening. I mean, we're still going to be in a time and space for now of things collapsing, but that's because we've been so focused on, we're not so focused, but focused on doing things that feel good. People are getting to where they don't want to be treated poorly at work, and they're sticking up for it, or they just leave. I mean, and they're making that decision to say, you know what, this isn't working for me and it doesn't feel good, so I'm out. I don't deserve to be treated like that. And so, things are still going to be breaking down in the sense of organizations and governments and all that. Things are gonna have to break down to lay that foundation to build it back up. But it's just change. And I know a lot of people don't like change, but the more people that are focused on what feels good, the more this is going to, transformation is bound to happen collectively. And I'm embracing it. I like change. I'm the type of person that when I do things repetitively, I get bored, and then I end up making a change in something. And then I'm like, oh crap, why did I do that? Because then it causes problems. Right? I create a problem so I can fix it. Remember that conversation? So my word, people have a word of the year. I actually have two this year. One is playful. So I get to laugh even more. But playful, and the other one is easy. It's okay for things to be easy. And the thing with like in business for marketing, that one of the big things about it is repurposing. So you have a piece of content and you repurpose it over and over and over for different, in different ways, but it's the same content. You're just taking it and putting it in all these spaces to use it over and over and over again, right? Well, now that I'm aware of it, but in my old self, I'd be like, oh no, I got to create something new every single time. And believe me, I've been doing that for a while. But this year, one of my words is easy. It's like, just allow things to be easy. It's okay. And that's what we've been talking about, right? Like Esther talks about, put your boat in the river and flow with the river. Stop paddling upstream. Stop making it difficult and hard and exhausting. And it also pertains to the flow of abundance and prosperity and success. Allow it to be easy. It's okay. It's okay. So those, I have 2 words.
Awesome. I don't have any words. I haven't ever processed that as part of a thing for me. We just don't have the conversation, so I never even thought about it. But what I hear about that, so you think about that, if we never had change, the worm would never become, or the caterpillar would never become the butterfly, right?
Butterflies.
There's constantly evolution. And it's like, even if you, and I'm even thinking about that, even with your content, even though you're doing the same content, you evolve through it every time. And every time someone asks a question, you evolve more. So is it really ever the same? It might be the same kind of basic template, but it's like there's always going to be an evolution on it.
Yeah.
And people get so caught up, and someone made a comment that change is, nobody likes change. We've been going through change our whole lives.
We're still not infants, just saying.
No, thank God, though. Thank God. Otherwise, we'd still be running around with freaking, fire on a stick and wearing a loincloth and, some shells or something. I don't know what we used to, some furs and running around. It's like, but we've evolved, and that's an awesome thing. It's a great thing. Change is amazing because that means we're evolving. We are changing. That's exactly why we came here. We didn't come here to be the same way over and over and over again. And I'm with you. If it becomes stagnant, or if it's repetitive for me, I'm over it. I'm done. Like, I could walk out. Man, just processing that. There's been a few times lately, and it has nothing to do with my clients, not because I love my clients, but there's been a few times where it's like, I just want to go. And I know it's not necessarily my energy as well, but it's like, why am I not living my passion? Well, I think I'm still honing in on what my passion is. I think I'm still figuring that out. So it's like, it's not just a leap, close the door and, call it quits. There's a little bit more to the picture, but I think at the same point, it's just like if I was working for someone else, maybe I would have left already. Do you know what I mean? I might have. So it's like, it's really, that helps me to even look at things a little bit different, a little bit more.
So fire yourself.
It's so true, but it's so true. But on the other side of that, just like when we have these conversations, I have some great, and that's what it boils down to. It's the great conversations. It's, we've talked about it before too. That's a little bit of the fixer. That's a little bit of the person even getting up and being like, oh my God, I feel so much better now. Like 100%.
You're good at it. You're good at it. And so that's a confidence booster too.
Yeah. And see, but that becomes boring because that's stimulating in a very minute amount of time for a second. And then you're already past it. It's to be in that passion all the time. And like you said, I like the conversations. I like them. I like the conversations when I'm tuned in, tapped in, and turned on, as Esther Hicks would say. Those are the conversations that I thrive on. Our conversations are the conversations. I have, one of my ladies that we're very good friends, best, like, we're soul sisters, just like you and I are. I mean, but we're just like soul sisters. Like, we just know. And it's like the conversations are freaking amazing every single time. It doesn't matter what's going on in our lives. And I like that. And also telling people, don't pretend to be happy when you're not happy. I've got a few people, and it's like, we're talking about a lot of that stuff. It's all right, from the outside looking in. I mean, on the outside, you look like everything's going great, but on the inside, you're breaking down. Like, why? Because it's the same thing as the government. It's the same thing as the structures. It's the same thing. Anything that's been going on for a long time, it doesn't work. So the light, it's coming out into the light. So the light can shine a light on it, so that we can say, oh, this could be so much better. This could feel so much better. It could, because it's totally up to each individual to make those decisions.
And as far as the physical body goes, it's already been shown that, we're trillions of cells, and our body regenerates every 7 years.
Yeah. And if it's not, where's your duality?
Yeah. And in your mindset, your emotions, your spiritual connection, and your physical body, what you're putting in it, all affects that that cellular level change. So if you're causing damaging thoughts, and this made me mad when I realized it. I grew up in abuse and experienced abuse through my life, that when I came to realize that I was abusing myself, that pissed me off. Man, I was like, oh, wait, what? So when we abuse ourselves, we are damaging that I don't even know if that's a word, rejuvenation of our cells, for our body to keep replenishing itself. But you got to look at all four levels: mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's all connected, and it all affects, like, they were saying, we are a universe in ourselves. We are not um solid. I mean, obviously we're not solid, but we're cells, and in those cells is space. So we are a universe within ourselves. And what we do to this our container, our vessel, can either be a benefit or damaging, and we all have those choices. So,
And it's another gauge.
yep. And I'll go back to the conversation I had in December with my doctor. Said, if you continue with your sugar intake, this or this is going to happen. Okay, I hear you loud and clear. What do I need to do to change it and stay off medication? Done. I'm on it. I'll see you in 3 months, because that's when she said to come back. So, I'm taking those steps to be nicer to myself for longevity.
Yeah.
Because
Because it's
be here for a
awesome.
while.
Yeah. And besides, it feels better.
Yeah.
All that feels better.
Yeah.
Awesome talk.
Great conversation. Any final words?
Just remind people, like, find a statement that works good for you. Mine right now is, show me what the power of love can do for me today, or show me what the power of love can, I ask myself so many different varieties of the question all the time. And it's not even just today. Sometimes I'll be like, in this moment, what can the power of love show me in this moment? So it's
Yeah.
just constantly, because that brings me aware right now. And love is showing up for me, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for pain. I'm not looking for struggle. I'm looking for peace, ease, and love. And for me, I didn't know what that felt like. Really, honestly, I didn't know, even though Jim loved me unconditionally, no matter, I mean, it was just unconditional, but I wasn't in a space. I didn't love me unconditional. So it's like, it's really just being in that awareness. And I wasn't in the awareness back then. And I'm not going to beat myself up for it, because that was thank you, Jim, for the experience. Thank you
Yeah.
for showing up for the experience. Thank you, kids. Thank you, work. Thank you, everybody, for showing up for the experience, because now I am who I am now, which is constantly changing.
Yeah. One of the things I'm excited about is when we're all in that space of transition, and we get to be in spirit and look at our life and go, look what you did. Look what I did.
Yeah.
And hopefully be able to, in spiritual terms, laugh about it. So anyway,
Awesome.
so as I'm trying to laugh at myself now, anyway.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, thanks for hanging out with us. Tea Time with Amy and Bev. We hope you have an incredible week, and that's up to you to create.
Absolutely.
We'll
Love
see you
it.
next time.
Bye.